Good morning and welcome to St. James. I was waiting for my signal. Our poor tech team is down two today and up one who doesn't always run tech. And so the dance of the adventure, they are working furiously back there to get things, and that's the way it is. We love the fact that we share those responsibilities here. I'm James, and we welcome you to St. James. I'm the pastor here at the West End. As we gather in this space and as we gather wherever we are, and there are lots of wherevers, we want to invite you to be present with us right now, right here. Perhaps one of the most challenging things about being human is learning to be where you are. We're always rushing ahead or looking back, and so today we're going to be talking about, even during the sermon, what it is to practice listening right now so that you can move into the future with expectation. Today's story that we'll be reading is the story of a man who launches out in faith. God says, leave everything you know and go out, and I'll show you the place you're supposed to go. And you have to kind of wait to figure out where that place is. So we'll be talking about that later on. One of the ways we like to bring ourselves into the moment, though, is our bodies are always in the moment. The rest of us, our minds are wandering, our hearts are wandering, our emotions are rising and falling, but our bodies are always here. So one of the ways we can ground ourselves, we often do breathing, but you can also do something as simple as feel your feet on the floor. Wherever you are, feel your feet on the floor. If you're sitting on the floor, you don't only just feel your feet on the floor, but feel your bottom on the floor. As it supports you, it's there. You are connected to it. And as you pay attention to the fact that your feet are on the floor, that your bottom is supported in a seat or wherever you are, you begin to come into the moment where you really are. Here you are, this moment. Because the truth is, what's past is really past. It doesn't even exist anymore except in your mind. And what's future is future. It doesn't exist anywhere even at all yet, except maybe in your imagination. So all you have is right now to be attentive, to attend to your life where you are right now. So if you want to pay attention to your breath, if you want to roll your shoulders, to loosen yourself up, to be where you are, because the tension, you rushed to get to the television set or to the computer screen or to your phone to get it out and get to the right space, or you rushed to get here, or maybe you arrived here and you were engaged in some wonderful conversations, which was great, and then suddenly we made you sit down, and you were still back in that great conversation you were having. This is the opportunity to catch up and to be here where you are. Breathe, feel your feet, feel your bottom as it rests in the place that you are. Linda has a reading for us.
Our reading for today comes from John O'Donoghue's To Bless the Space Between Us. It's called For Presence. Awaken to the mystery of being here and enter the quiet immensity of your own presence. Have joy and peace in the temple of your senses. Receive encouragement when new frontiers beckon. Respond to the call of your gift and the courage to follow its path. Let the flame of anger free you of all falsity. May warmth of your heart keep your presence aflame. May anxiety never linger about you. May your outer dignity mirror an inner dignity of soul. Take time to celebrate the quiet miracles that seek no attention. Be consoled in the secret symmetry of your soul. May you experience each day as a sacred gift woven around the heart of wonder. Our video for today comes again from the Work of the People. They do such amazing work, and it's about time.
Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it now. And wait for it, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it now. And we see the light coming fast, coming fast. We see the light coming fast. And we feel the hope come at last, come at last. We feel the hope come at last. So wait for it, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it now. And wait for it, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it now. And we find our truth on the path, on the path. We find our truth on the path. And we're free from the chains of our past, of our past. We're free to move on from the past. So wait for it, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it now. And praise for it, praise for it, praise for it, praise for it, praise for it now. And we see the light coming fast, coming fast. We see the light coming fast. And we feel the hope come at last, come at last. We feel the hope come at last.
I spent a fair portion of my life being a destination guy. That is to say, I planned where I would be this week. If you saw my calendar, you would see I had all these cool plans. I was going to have this meeting then and this other meeting then, and I was going to go to the hospital at this time. I was going to read the Bible at this time. I was going to take the children to school at the exact same time every day. They were going to be ready exactly on time. We would be ready to go. Everything was in my calendar and ready to go, and it made me feel like my life was complete because I knew what was happening every moment of my coming week. I am no longer that person. I am no longer that person at all, because it was always a fallacy. It was always a fallacy. I love my children, Hannah and Josh. I'm sure if you've had children, you love them too. But if you think that you can exactly plan when you are going to go anywhere, something will happen. On our first Christmas Eve at St. James, it was our second Christmas Eve. The first Christmas Eve, there was no Hannah yet. Second Christmas Eve, Hannah was like, 10 days old when she came, not 9, almost 10 days old. She came with Linda. Linda is always prepared. We had 4 changes of clothes, and we had an abundance of diaper. Every single one of the diapers exploded. And that is to say, we put them on, they exploded. 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 Eventually, Linda, who had already come to the 7 o'clock service, was going to stay for the 11 with Hannah because, hey, when they're that small, they'll be awake or asleep, whatever they're doing. Linda finally said, I'm just going home. I have no more clothes for Hannah. Despite having 4 changes, and there's no more, there are no more diapers. So we're going. And I said, okay, that sounds good. Because I knew better than to say anything else. What do you mean you're going somewhere? I could see the exasperation on her face and the fact that Hannah was miserable in her unhappy diaper. The truth is, we think that we can plan everything in our lives. We can be certain of what the next thing is. That we know what's going on. But if we're really honest with ourselves, and this is where the whole practice of being present is important in our lives, the only moment you've got is now. I mean, really. I'm not trying to be in any way. Yesterday, Linda and I got to celebrate or lead the celebration of a person's life, a member of Linda's extended family, who we love dearly. Been a part of the family for the last 22 years. And he died unexpectedly 10 days ago. And so Linda and I led that celebration yesterday. Nobody was expecting Richard to die. Nope. I mean, we're all expecting that our lives will end. But when it happened, we weren't. So our plan 2 weeks ago today was not to be doing a funeral yesterday. But life happens. Life happens when we're planning. And we have to live in the moments that we have. We have this moment and we get to be here in this moment. I want to read to you this passage because it's an invitation to faith, not only for Abram, but whose name was later changed to Abraham. We won't go into all the reasons for that. Doesn't matter in this sermon anyway. But Abram is perfectly happy where he was. And where his family was and where his tribe was. And we're going to read about that in chapter 12 of Genesis. So we're in the first book of the Bible. Chapter 12, beginning with verse 1. Adonai said to Abram, "Leave your country, your people, and the home of your parents, and go to a place I will show you. I will make of you a great people. I will bless you and make your name so great that it will be used in blessings. I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who curse you, and all the people on the face of the earth will be blessed through you." Abram, who was 75 years old when he left Haran, began the journey as Adonai had instructed, and his nephew Lot went with them. Abram took Sarai, his spouse, Lot, all their possessions, and all the dependents they acquired in Haran, and set out for Canaan. When they arrived in Canaan, Abram and his family traveled through the land until they arrived at the sacred place at Shechem, and came to the oak grove of Moreh. The Canaanites occupied the land at that time. Adonai appeared to Abram and said, "I will give you this land and to your descendants." Abram built an altar there where Adonai had appeared to him. Then they moved off toward the hill country east of Bethel and set up camp, with Bethel toward the sea and Ai to the east. Abram built an altar to Adonai and invoked the name of Adonai. After they traveled in stages through the Negev. This is a reading from the word of the Lord. Praise be to God. So, you're sitting one day at breakfast drinking your coffee. Unless you don't drink coffee, you're drinking your tea. If you don't drink tea, you're drinking your water. If you don't drink at breakfast, you're just sitting at breakfast. Whatever is happening, and suddenly you get this inclination, this call. I want you to leave everything you know. You know, the job you know. I know you just bought your house. I want you to get up from that place. I want you to go out to another place altogether. And I'm not going to tell you where that is. I'm just going to, you're going to figure it out when you get there. You'll know you're there. I'll tell you. You'll arrive. Now that sounds pretty daunting. And that's what Abram did. He did that thing. God said, leave everything you know, your family, your friends, everything, and go. And Abram did. If he didn't, I suspect there would not be this chapter in the Bible. We would completely have left it out. Although, quite frankly, one of the wonderful things about the Hebrew Bible is, if you fail, they also tell that story because it's also good to learn from failure. Oftentimes, you learn more from failure than you do from success. However, one call to Abram, took the call, got up, took everybody with him, and left to a place that he would eventually figure out was the right place through God's inspiration. Now, this sounds outlandish to us, people like me who are destination people. Because I'm not so much a destination person anymore, but I was a destination person. I always feel like, despite the fact I tell you I'm not a destination person, at the end of the day, if I can look back and list all these things that I've physically done, then I've had an accomplished day. If I look back on a day and I did 2 readings that were interrupted by a phone call, and the reading I was trying to read was to prepare for the sermon on Sunday, and I got interrupted, and the interruption was an interruption, and it was irritating, but it was an emergency, and so it wasn't irritating anymore. It was an opportunity for me to respond, and then I went, and then I did, and then it wasn't part of my plan, but I get to the end of the day, and everything that I thought I was going to accomplish that day that appeared magically in my calendar. Let's just imagine for a moment there is a beautiful calendar to be seen like this. Only mine looks fuller, sometimes looks fuller than that. This feels like a real life, except that whatever's coming isn't even real. Everything I've put on that calendar is in my imagination. Be honest with yourself. If you only have now, it's all imagination. I imagine this week, on Wednesday, Linda and I will get up in the morning. We will get in the car because we have to go to annual conference in Roanoke. One of my favorite things to do. One of my favorite things to do, we're going to go, and we have to go a day earlier because the clergy session, instead of being on the same day that conference opens, usually it would be on Thursday morning, but on Wednesday afternoon, maybe it's going to be a long session, I don't know, maybe we're going to do boxing, I don't know what's going to happen. But we're going a day early. So we have to be there on Wednesday for clergy to hang out together and to have a meeting. And I'm sure it's going to be important. But it's on my calendar. Any number of things could happen between now and Wednesday that means I can't go. Linda's car could break down, and my car could break down, and there could be no way for us to get there. I know that would be a tragedy. It would be a tragedy for me not to be able to go. But something could happen. Any number of things could happen. I might not, if we're being honest, I might not live till Wednesday. Any number of things could, and I know that sounds morbid, but the truth is, Wednesday exists in my imagination. I'm not telling you don't plan. I'm not telling you don't put things on your calendar. I'm not telling you don't plan your vacation in plenty of time so that you can get your passport and your tickets and all those kinds of things, wherever you're going. I'm not saying don't plan. I'm just saying that even a plan is just your imagination until it really happens. Until you're in the moment when you are boarding, when you have passed through customs, shown them the passport that you prepared, shown them the ticket, gotten on the plane has actually taken off and landed where it's going, not been diverted, and until you get off the plane and get to you're not there. You can plan all the minor details of your life, but life happens and you don't get to go there. So what can you do? You can do what Abram did. Right now, even in the unknown, I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes right now because I trust. I trust that God is with me no matter where I go. That's the promise we heard last week. And I will be with you even to the ends of the earth. Or was that 2 weeks ago? No, it was, no, well, 2 weeks ago. It's the same promise. Still good 2 weeks late. I will be with you even to the ends of the earth. You're not alone. So when you say yes to this moment and recognize that even though this trip I'm planning for 2 months from now is imaginary, it still doesn't hurt me to plan. I'm going to do my best to be in this moment and plan for that moment. Because the best thing I can do right now is get ready as if that might happen. And I will trust that if it happens, that's great. And if it doesn't happen, something else will happen. And hopefully that will be great too. But I'm always borrowing something from the future. With that calendar piece, I'm always borrowing and imagining that since I've had all these days that led up to this one, I'll have all those days leading up to that one. Your life is a beautiful gift. But you don't get to unwrap Wednesday until Wednesday. You only get to unwrap Sunday morning. Or if you're watching us Friday afternoon, or whenever you're watching, you're unwrapping your day then, not now. Which is now for then. That's where you get to the mess, isn't it? So what can we do? Live now. Make plans. But don't invest your whole life in whatever you're planning. Because things change. We were planning for Linda to be at that second Christmas Eve. And Hannah get to come to her first Christmas Eve. Well, she had already been to an earlier Christmas Eve service. For Hannah to be broken into what it is to be a preacher's kid. You go to every service every time the door opens, whether you want to or not. That's it. It's not that bad. Hopefully it's not that bad. Sometimes it's that bad. Hannah and Josh still love God and even the church, despite those things. But, we were breaking her in, leading her in that direction, and it didn't go that way. Now, I was ticked off in that moment. How dare Hannah mess up 5 outfits and all of her diapers? Well, she was being a child. She was being a baby. She was being exactly who she was supposed to be. We get wrapped up. We get wrapped up so much in our expectations for what's going to happen next that when it doesn't happen that way, we're ticked off. As if what happens next was in our control to begin with. It's nice to have a plan. It's okay to plan. But if you become so attached to the plan that it's your life, then chances are at least possible that you're going to be disappointed. You're going to be disappointed because doesn't everything always happen the way you want it to, the way you expect it to? So if you can learn to live now, you learn to roll with whatever happens. They used to say roll with the punches. And that's a good plan. Because, if someone punches you and you roll away, less damage to you if you can roll. It's true. I'm not suggesting that you should try that out, but if you roll away, instead of holding tight, the physics of it is it glances off, take less damage. That's the way that it works. If you can roll with life's ever-changing reality. Plan, But don't become so attached to your plan that your life is dependent on the plan, because the plan is a plan. That's all that it is. That's all that it is. God is with you. If things go exactly as you hope, if things don't go exactly as you hope, can you get to a point where you're like, this is not what I wanted to be in Ireland right now. I wanted to be in San Francisco right now. I wanted to be at a soccer game. I wanted whatever. Well, you did. Great. You wanted it. It didn't happen. Trust. Maybe there's something different. Maybe there's something, maybe not better, but different. And the different thing that happens, I had a plan for my life. It didn't include Linda. By the time I met Linda, I was sure I was going to be single for the rest of my life. And I met her, she messed everything up. Messed everything up. I fell in love with her. I had planned on my whole monastic life. I was dancing with the idea of becoming a Roman Catholic monk. Perhaps I would have been a better Franciscan, but I was looking at the Dominicans. I was thinking this could be, because that's the order of preachers, and I thought, I'm kind of cool. I like that idea. So I was interested in that, and then I met Linda, and then obviously, nope, couldn't become a monk, couldn't become a friar. Became a husband and continued on, because I met her in seminary, so we were on the journey towards United Methodist clergy anyway, so here I am. Totally, my life is more beautiful and wonderful than I could have ever imagined for myself, but it was not my plan. It was not my plan. When I came to St. James, the plan was, according to my district superintendent, Doug Dillard, St. James is going to close. It's going to close. 2 years. It's on a downward trend. Average age is 75. They're down to... The conference report said there were 100 people in worship, but he said the reality is it's less than 40. It's less than 40. Maybe 100 on a magical day when everybody brings every member of their family who's in town once. But it's less than 40 and it's on its way down. This is before streaming or anything else. This is 1992. You're going to close it in 2 years. We're not going to hold it against you. And that was my plan. That was their plan. 32 years later, I'm still at St. James. Not in the same building. We didn't close 2 years later. I messed up the plan. I messed up the plan. Here I am. I'm still here. I'm still in Alexandria. I am ready at any point for a bishop to call me and say, you got to go somewhere else. And I have to set my heart to that every year, because every year I'm up for appointment again. And this new bishop we got in January apparently looks at anybody who's stayed anywhere for 10 years or longer as way too long. So this bishop may be the one that calls me in the coming year. I'm coming back for my 32nd year, but my 33rd year may be somewhere else. I don't know. I mean, that's a year from now. And if I start planning for it, it won't happen. Whatever I plan for, it won't happen. Because life happens. So instead of spending my next year dreading something or being excited about something, it's usually the dreading thing that's the problem. Dreading or planning for, I just say, whatever happens will happen, and I'll be ready when it happens. Because I was ready to get up here this morning. In spite of the fact that my plan wasn't to marry Linda, it has been one of the best choices, probably the best choice, second only to saying yes to following Jesus. It's been the greatest choice of my life. But it wasn't a plan. So, plan. Be prepared. Save for the future. All those kinds of things, if you can. But know that you never know what's going to happen right now. So trust that you're enough for what happens right now and for what happens right now and for what happens right now. Because no matter what the now is, God is with you. That's what our faith says. And with God, you're enough. whatever challenge. 2 weeks ago, I told you, no plan to do the funeral yesterday, the memorial service. Yesterday, we did a memorial service. As memorial services go, it was good. It was healing. There were lots of good stories that we told, not during the service, but afterwards. We hung out with Linda's family and had a good time. Do we still miss Richard? Absolutely. Shirley's the one especially. They've been married for 22 years. She's going to really miss Richard. All who knew him are going to miss him. His grandchildren used to come and play. He loved to decorate the house. He did all these things. He's going to miss him. We miss David, a member of our congregation who fought off death multiple times and then died. And we recently celebrated his life. But in the midst of that celebration is also the pain that comes with it. We are enough in this moment. Don't borrow the challenges of the future. Don't drag the pain from the past, but learn to be where you are. So, your assignment this week. If you are a planner and you have a big calendar filled with things, and I know some of you do, and that's a good thing. And if you work, you got a big calendar planned with things. And Linda always has a calendar. It's always funny. She tells me she's going to work and what she's going to do. She comes home that night from work and tells me all the things that she really did that weren't on her calendar to do. They just fixed the garbage disposal. Yesterday, after we got back from the funeral, guess what? Text, garbage disposal broken again. Somebody decided it's a good idea to put down 2 pounds of rice. I don't know when you think that. I put things down the garbage disposal doesn't belong. These things happen. They happen. So plan the best you can for the future, but trust that whatever happens, God will be in it with you. So look at your plans this week and smile and aim for them. Prepare for them, but be prepared to let them go too. Be prepared to let them go because every moment is different. Every moment is different. It's all about trust. That's what Abram did. When God said, go and I'll show you a place, he said, that's how I get up every morning out of bed. I go out, I'm planning on watching the sheep. 3 of the sheep are gone because they were eaten by a wild bear. I have to adjust. That's the way that it is. Every day is like that when you roll out of bed. Abram did it for a longer trajectory than maybe you do, but you do it. Whether you realize it or not, you trust that today, no matter what comes, you're going to be big enough to do it. Trust that God will help you be big enough, whatever comes. One of the pieces of what we do every week at St. James is pray. I want us to continue to pray for all those who are grieving. My heart is still saddened at the loss of David, and Donnie struggles with that loss too, I'm sure. And many of us who knew David miss him. He was a big presence, and he's a big absence. Lots of people who knew Richard very well are missing Richard right now. And in missing him, that's just a statement of what he meant. And perhaps others of you are missing other people in your life. And you're missing them from a loss 10 years ago, or 10 weeks ago, or 10 minutes ago, whenever it is. There's no limit of how long we grieve or struggle with things. Right now, you're enough, and God is with you right now. So we want to pray for everyone who's grieving, struggling, feeling pain, loss, or otherwise. I want us to also pray with hope for the world in which we live. We see lots of things that happen in our world. A wonderful wildfire in Canada made our air toxic in this area. The Local registers here said it was up to 500 in terms, it was hazardous to breathe the air outside. On Thursday, I think it was. On Thursday, it was hazardous. It wasn't just unhealthy, it was hazardous to breathe the air outside for a long period of time. Games were canceled, lives were changed because of it. You know, people's health challenges were exacerbated. The world is a tough place, challenging place to live. So I want us to pray for this world. I want us to pray that we will do our best to make it a better place, to love better, to be kind more, to let things roll off our shoulder more. We don't, but we could if we practice being present now. There are good things in the world as well. I want to celebrate our continued service to the community through the West End Food Pantry and what a difference that makes in people's lives. And for our upcoming trip to Appalachia, to Clay County, West Virginia, where we'll be serving some of our neighbors, repairing their house. I don't know exactly what we'll be doing. We'll find that out later. But we have a team going from St. James, and we're excited about that. And that's enough for us to pray for right now. We'll have a moment of silent prayer. I'll pray out loud, and then we'll pray the Lord's Prayer. A version of it will be on the screen behind me, or on the screen in front of you if you're online. Let's pray together. Gracious and loving God, every moment is trust. Every moment is risk. We don't know what the future holds. We can plan for it all we want to and hope that all the things will align to make it happen just as we want to. And even when it happens, sometimes it's not just the way we planned. And we struggle with that. We suffer. It gives our lives challenge. But sometimes those things are unexpected, delightful surprises. We plan for one thing and something else happens. We get to see friends that we didn't necessarily expect to see. As a community of faith here, we're delighted we got to, James and Megan and Galen are in town and in worship with us today, and we're delighted to see them. It's something that we see as a gift, and we're thankful. We're thankful for all the opportunities we get to serve you in our everyday life. We're thankful that we're drawing breath right now. It's a gift, the gift of life to us right now. But in the midst of celebrating this gift, we also recognize there are people who have lost things and people that matter. For those who are grieving, those who are struggling, those who are lonely, alienated, broken, lost, and alone, we pray that our eyes might be opened, that if we were really present in the moment, we wouldn't see interruptions as negatives in our life, but as opportunities. That the interruption is an opportunity for us to love someone unexpected, talk to someone unexpected, fix something unexpectedly broken. It's always an opportunity to be interrupted. Doesn't feel that way, but help us to trust that you're always with us even in the interruptions, and to perhaps perceive those interruptions differently. Thanks for all the surprises in our lives. As much as we'd like to banish chaos, we don't have that power. It just comes to live in our lives. Help us to roll with whatever comes, trusting you and knowing you're always present with us. Walk with us, guide us, help us, and thanks for everything that you are and have given us. We lift all this to you in the precious and holy name of your Son, Jesus. The same Jesus who taught us when we prayed together that we might pray in this way. Our Father in heaven, holy is your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us today our daily bread. Forgive us our sin as we forgive those who sin against us. Save us from the time of trial and deliver us from evil. For the kingdom, the power, and the glory are yours, now and forever. Amen. Something else that we do every week at St. James is to share communion. If you're online, you can share communion. If you're in person, you can share communion. You are welcome at this table. If you choose not to come, whether you're online and that doesn't seem like a good communion-y thing to do, or you're in person and for whatever reason you choose not to come, it's fine. You're welcome and invited, but you don't have to come. If you're at home, when I lift the bread, you lift up whatever is your bread. I will lift up the cup. You lift up whatever is your cup, and it will. You can too celebrate communion with us. At the same time that we serve communion, we receive our morning offering. It comes in lots of different forms. Some, we get financial gifts in person. People write and mail checks to us that then go into the same plate in the back. Some people give online. Some people text to give. Some people order things from our Amazon wish list, and they appear in things like these Huggies that are over here under the table because there wasn't room to put them on the table, because diapers are something we give away at the pantry to families with small children. As someone who has experienced what it's like to have one too few diaper, and there's always one too few. It doesn't matter how many you have, it's always one too few. And diapers, you might as well have a second mortgage on your house to afford diapers. So one of the things we give out at the pantry is diapers to families in need so that they can protect their children. It's an important thing. So you can give in that way if you wish. This is also a moment to reflect. Are you really now? Are you a planner? Are you a destination person, always living for the destination, only sometimes you don't get to the destination and then your life is a mess? You hate your life because you had a destination and you ended up at point B instead of point A, and now you're mad. What happens if point B is a better place to hang out? Well, I don't know. I'm mad because I wanted to be at point A. This is a moment to reflect about that and perhaps trust that God will always be with you even when things don't go the way you planned. The way you planned. The last thing is how we do communion. Online, you can do it any way you want. In person, I will be down here serving the bread. Linda will be down here serving the cup. We serve individual cups so that people can safely consume it together. And we serve a bread that is gluten and allergen free. Baked fresh, not usually on Sunday morning, but this morning, actually baked fresh in my kitchen. Came out of the oven at 9:30 this morning or something like that. So in fact, yep, still warm. So there's still warmth in this bread. But it is gluten-free and nut-free and dairy-free. So it does contain eggs, so if that's a problem. But otherwise. In the same night that Jesus was betrayed, he gathered with his really close friends. The truth is, we're all close to this eternal Christ. He's in us. He moves within us. He is around us all the time. So he is here and present with us. And he is wherever you are, present with you. So he gathered with those close friends, people he loved, you and me as well. And while they were eating dinner, he did this unusual thing that doesn't seem as unusual to us anymore. He took bread from the table. He gave thanks for it, and he broke it. He gave it to his disciples, and he said, I want you to take and eat this, all of you. This is my body, which is broken for you. Do this as often as you will in remembrance of me. Also after supper, Jesus took the cup, and when he had given thanks, he gave it to his disciples, and he said, I want you to drink from this, all of you. This is my blood of the new covenant, shed for you and for many for the forgiveness of sins. Do this as often as you drink it in remembrance of me. And so it is in remembrance of a God who is madly in love with you. A God you can trust. A God who is with you, even when you cannot see. and is with you whether or not, uh, whatever the condition, no matter how unworthy you feel or anything else, there is no escaping this eternal conscious presence that is around all the time, the Spirit, energetic presence, if you will. And so it's in remembrance of that that we come to this table asking that God would make this be for us, his body and blood, that we would be for the world the body of Christ, trying to live now, love the interruptions when they come, but even if we fail, and as someone who fails regularly at appreciating my interruptions, even if I fail, all of us redeemed and forgiven. We ask it in the name of Jesus. Amen. I am going to take off my microphone. Online, you can take communion whenever you're ready. Here in person, as soon as Linda and I have come down and gotten in place, I'm going to put on a mask just for your safety. I'm pretty clean as far as I know, but just to be safe, I'll put on a mask. You don't have to. It's optional here. So just so you know, that's what I'll do. And then we'll invite you as soon as we're ready and down there.
A year ago at this time, I was unemployed and worked feverishly every day, Monday through Friday, to try and find a job. And I submitted applications. I think if I counted, it was probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 70 to 80 jobs. The funny thing was it was at this, well, a couple of weeks ago, it would have been a year, that I saw the position with Friends of Guest House as Director of Operations. And the salary was a lot less than what I was making before. And I applied for it, but I didn't, expect anything to happen. And I was feverishly trying to find a job that, would fit and everything else and be reasonable from a schedule perspective and location and all these other things that you do when you're looking for a job. And, did multiple interviews, and I would update James about how I felt things were going. And really tried to plan how this next phase of my work life was going to be. And the funny thing is that I think it was maybe the first week of June last year when I got an email from Carrie Galloway, who was the ED at the time at Guest House, saying that they wanted to interview me for the Director of Operations position at Guest House. And, I did the interview, and I really liked Carrie and Sonia, and I was encouraged, but felt like it probably wasn't going to work. I really didn't want to take that pay cut and things like that. And, was looking harder at other jobs, but they were all very much what I would say true desk jobs, where you're not dealing with clients at all. And I've, ever since I've done nonprofit work, it's always been I'd have some direct service contact. And made all these plans in my head about what I was going to do. And none of them worked. And it is by far the best thing that none of it worked. Because even though I get to deal with the aggravation of things like the garbage disposal, which literally has been broken 4 times since September, I'm not exaggerating, 4 times. We've replaced it once. I love the work and my relationships with the women that we serve. It changes me, has changed me, and every day challenges me to be a better person, to look at the world in a different way than what I had before. And that is why we don't necessarily need to plan, folks, because sometimes God and the universe has this amazing opportunity for us that we cannot even see on the horizon that helps us become a better version of ourselves and a better version of the universe around us. Not that I'm perfect, but it is better to see the world in a different way than I did before. And I am thankful for that. Even in the times, this past week, we had a resident leave. She just disappeared. And at first we thought she had been kidnapped. Turned out she left because she just couldn't deal with the program and things like that. And so at 10 o'clock on Wednesday night, I was dealing with police at Guest House. And even that, the chaos that it was, I'm still grateful that I had that short time with that young woman to touch her. And I hope that one of our myriad of conversations, helped her and changed her, because I know my interactions with her changed me. So go forth as a person who has planned her life almost every day since I was born, Go forth and allow God's wondrous work in the world. Throw a little wrench in your path periodically to bring about some joy and unexpected surprise that will help you become a better you. Go in love, friends. Amen.